If you're going to find the specific thing that God has called you to do, number one, it is through God that you will find it. Number two, you have a heart for it. Number three, there's a time for it. Number four, there's a place for it. And this place can be broken down into two categories, a spiritual place and a physical place. Today we'll be talking about the physical place. Stay tuned. Hello and welcome to part 10 of how to find God's will for your life. Today, I'll be discussing part of point number 4, the fourth guideline. There is a place for it. There's a location that will affect your vocation. There's a place that you need to be in to find and fulfill God's purpose for your life. This place is a spiritual place and a physical place. Last week, I talked about the spiritual place. Today, I'm going to be talking about the physical place. The physical place is a geographical location, a specific environment that you need to be in to fulfill your destiny. That place could be a city, it could be a state, it could be a country, it could be a continent, it could be a church, it could be a ministry, it could be a different job location, it could be a different living environment. You need to get to that place in order to fulfill your destiny. For Moses, that place was Mount Sinai or Horeb, the mountain of God. For Joseph, that place is Egypt. For Paul, that place is near Damascus. In fact, near Damascus was both the spiritual place and physical place for Paul. He got broken near Damascus, and it was there that he discovered that God had called him to preach. You need to find that place for yourself. For example, if somebody says, I want to be an actor, where's the place for that? Hollywood. If somebody says, I want to sing country music, Nashville, Tennessee. Somebody says, I want to get into the tech industry, Silicon Valley. Of course, we know that God can flip the script and there are exceptions to that rule, but we are aware that there are certain environments that are conducive for certain industries. Along the same lines, you need to find the place that you need to be in to fulfill what God has called you to do. It could be a city, a state, a country, a continent, a church, a ministry, a different job location. You need to find that place for yourself. In Exodus chapter 3, verses 1 and 2, we are told that Moses was tending the flock of his father-in-law, Jethro, at the back of the desert near Mount Sinai or Horeb, the mountain of God. And some translations in Exodus 3:2 say, there an angel appeared to him from a burning bush, and God spoke to Moses. Literally, God called him. God called Moses. Moses discovered what God wanted him to do when he got there. You need to find where your there is. Until you get there, you're not going to fulfill your destiny. You need to find where there is for you. You might be wondering whether or not you are where you need to be. And if you're not, how can you get there? Well, it goes back to point number 2. You have a heart for it. In other words, God will put a desire in your heart to go where you need to be if you're not there yet. One of the better and simpler ways that God gets us to go where he wants us to be is to impress upon our hearts to move to a certain environment, like he did for Abraham. God told Abraham to leave his family, to go to a land that he will show him. And Abraham basically went forth and did what God called him to do, and he became the father of many nations. He fulfilled his destiny after he got to the place that God told him to go to. Similarly, check your heart. Are you feeling like you need to move or go somewhere? Don't neglect that still small voice or that feeling, that sense that you need to move to a different location, a different job, different environment, different state, different vicinity, because your destiny is at stake. Unfortunately, sometimes we don't move. Even though we feel a desire or we feel an inkling to move somewhere else, we don't move. We don't do so because we're asking ourselves, why do I need to move? Sometimes we're just comfortable where we are. Sometimes we just feel like it doesn't make any sense to get out of this comfortable situation. Well, God has a lot of innovative ways to get you to be where he wants you to be. If you ask Moses, of course, you knew he ran for his life, and that led him to get into a place called Midian and eventually to Mount Sinai near the mountain of God. For Joseph, how did he get to Egypt? He was sold to slavery and he ended up in Egypt. Along the same lines, when we don't move, when we don't go where we need to be, sometimes God uses conflict to get us there. God uses an incident to get us there. God uses storms, literally and metaphorically speaking, like Jonah. God tells him to go to a place called Nineveh and he decides to go to Tarshish, and God sent a storm that rocked the boat literally and got him back to Nineveh, so to speak. Rejection is another innovative way that God gets you to go where he wants you to be so that you can fulfill your destiny. All of a sudden, you're fired or laid off from your job, and you are now forced to find a different job somewhere else. And in some cases, it causes you to change the location. In some cases, you're forced to start your own business, something that God had placed in your heart for a while. And sometimes that entails you moving to a different location. I've dealt extensively with rejection, and I believe there are links up there that will guide you to the link on my series on rejection. But the bottom line is this: God knows how to get you to an environment, to a place where he needs you to be. And part of rejection is also getting your heart broken to the degree that you're so mad and so upset that you leave a certain environment in an effort to deal with the pain. But incidentally, God also uses it to get you where he wants you to be so that you can fulfill your destiny. There's a place for it, a physical location, a geographical location that God needs you to be in order to find and fulfill the vocation that God has called you to carry out. So number one, it is through God that you'll find it. Number two, you'll have a heart for it. Number three, there's a time for it. Number four, there's a place for it. And next week, we'll be talking about number five.